Hey guys, so today I'm out here working on my 80 Mustang Cobra. This car has sat for about the past 20 years at least. The last mail that I found in the car was dated 97. So I tried buying this car back in about 2010. The owner just would not sell the car. It was his son's car. They had put a 351 Windsor in it instead of the 4.2 that originally came in the car, and he just would not let go of the car. He had a Camaro Berlinetta that he was the same way on. We ended up buying a 50 Chevy 3100 instead, but I was just always after this car. So fast forward to late 2017. I was driving into town one day and saw it sitting out in front of the local junkyard. So at that time, I proceeded to get in contact with the junkyard, and about 3 months later, I finally talked him into selling me the car. I picked the car up for just over $600. Car had a clean title with it. Came with the motor, the tranny, full interior, complete car. So I bought the car. And as I got looking at it, I kind of regretted it a little bit more and more. When the car was parked, it was sitting like half in a swamp and half not. So I'm just going to kind of go ahead and show you guys some of the stuff that I have found on the car, especially after I got it up on the lift. The car is just in very rough shape. The car was actually built in late 79. But it is VINed and titled as an 80. If this car would have been a 79 car, then the black with the green would have made it an alternate Cobra, which would have, made it a rare car. So when I picked up the car, when I bought it, it had no wheel on the right rear. That is because all of these studs have pretty much rotted or snapped off. Obviously we've got some damage here in the fender. This was here when I tried buying the car, when I was still in high school. This door is in very bad shape. This is the side of the car that was sitting in the swamp. As you can tell, the rockers, the backside does not get any better. It's very, very rusty car. Back here, we've got full quarter panel would really need to be replaced. It looks like the car's had some Bondo work done to it at one point or another. She's just in very rough shape. I hate to pull this car apart like this, just because it is an early Cobra. The whole original bumper setup is still there. My neighbor's actually going to be pulling it and putting it on his 81 Mustang T-Top that he's kind of doing like a Frankenstein build on. So it should be interesting. So he's going to use the hood and the front bumper, and then I'm going to take the 85 bumper that's on his and use it on my 86 GT T-Top car. Like I'd said previously, this car had a 351 Windsor put in it. And so my original plan was I was just going to let the 351 go back with the car when it went back to the junkyard. But then I popped the valve cover and the engine looks like brand new inside. So for some reason, the cam does not turn with the crank. So I'm going to pull the motor and tranny out of the car. I'm going to pull the rear windows, the doors, the hatch, and kind of go from there. I'm going to take the engine home. I'm in my dad's shop right now. So I'm going to take the engine home, put it on an engine stand, and start tearing it apart and see what I can figure out. My plan is to take the motor and put it into my 86 GT T-Top, since I bought that car as just a roller. So as you can tell, this side isn't quite as bad as the other side. There's still rocker rust, quarter rust. This is the side that was not, you know, this quarter's loose. This is the side that was not sitting in the swamp. So this side, if the other side of the car was like this, it wouldn't be too bad. But as you've seen, it's not. The real sketchy part comes underneath. So, I mean, you know, it's got the normal Fox floor pan rust, but all of this and all of that, you know, I could probably get away with just replacing all of that. But this rear frame rail is just completely gone. You know, up in here, I mean, just look at that bolt. It's, you know, I'm not doing anything with that. The rear end still seems to be decent in the car. You know, this side, it's fallen right behind the other side. You know, it's very rough in this back end. Once again, that frame rail is the side that was sitting in the swamp. You know, there's the carpet from outside the car. As we move up towards the front, you've got all that rust there. Once again, that side's nowhere near as bad because that side is not the side that was in the swamp. I like to think that if he would have sold me the car back in 2010, it wouldn't be as bad. But honestly, the damage was probably pretty much already done at that point. So, I mean, this thing had mice nest in the exhaust. That core support is just completely rotted. There's just, unfortunately, there's no saving this car. I mean, you could if you wanted to spend a lot of time and money, but I don't think the car is worth it. It's better off a parts car. This is what really bothered me last night once I got it up on the lift. That frame rail is cracked all the way through, and it is gone back here. So, like I said, my plan today is to get this motor and tranny out of this car. I've already got the motor mount bolts out of both sides. I've got the nuts off the cross member for the transmission. Drive shaft's out. I cut the exhaust out last night, so it really shouldn't be too bad. I'm not worried about saving anything on the car as far as wiring and cabling goes. So it's pretty much just going to be a junkyard style pull. I'm just going to kind of start cutting everything that I see that goes to the transmission. I'm probably going to go ahead and save the pigtail connectors just in case. So, because I'm not sure if I'm going to run a C6 or a C4, which this should be in my 86. Car was originally an automatic car. Swapping the Windsor in, I think going automatic is just going to be the easiest route to go. I do have a T5 setup that I could put in the car instead, but we'll just kind of cross that bridge as I get there. Once I get the car lowered back down, I'll go through and show the interior of the car. Yeah, I really wish, you know, we could have saved this car, but at this point, it's just not going to end up being worth it. You know, the 86 is pretty much a rust-free roller, so we're just going to kind of continue on that. My 89 GT is a fully functioning car. You know, it's a great summer driver, so I've got time to play with the 86. So we will start getting this motor and tranny out of the car, and we'll kind of go from there. So I guess I can walk around and show you guys the back. I've already pulled the tail lights out of the car. They were the original vertical bar tail lights. But as you can see there, the hatch, the spoiler is all still in decent shape. The rear bumper was already kind of messed up. The rear bumpers aren't really anything special in these cars anyway. So we're going to go ahead. Like I said, I'm going to plan on keeping the hatch, the doors, and most of the black interior components. The car did have the black leather vinyl seats. I just don't know if it's going to be worth the time and effort to go ahead and pull those out, but we'll see what happens. So yeah, we will pick back up on the interior once I get the car lowered back down, and probably throw in maybe a video of pulling the motor as well. So I'll get back to it. All right, guys. So told you once I got it back down, I'd show you guys the interior of the car. So I've got the engine and transmission out of the car. I went ahead and finished pulling the front end off the car, trying to get this car out of here. We've got a bunch of projects sitting around, and just it's another thing taking up space. So once I got the engine pulled out and the front end off, it really gives us a better look of how bad off this front frame rail is. So there's that front frame rail. I mean, you can see it is gone pretty much starting from here all the way up to almost the core support. When I got the car, the driver or the passenger front and rear wheels were locked up. So what I ended up doing was I just cut the line and took the caliper off, got it pounded out of the way so I could get the car to roll, because it was actually sitting in a garage that we had torn down. You know, it's rusted all the way through the fender skirts, all the way up into here. Somehow this all managed to stay halfway decent. So my plan is I am going to pull the doors. They do have good door panels. Well, decent door panels. It is a manual window car. So I am going to go ahead and pull the doors off, just so that I've got everything. I'll probably end up gutting at least this door and scrapping it later. As you can see, the car had a complete interior when I got it. I've already pulled out the center console. The dash is actually in pretty decent shape. I may try pulling it out. I really don't know yet. It just really depends on what kind of time I've got. I want to go ahead and get this piece off because I do have the emblem. I was going to sell the car and I was going to keep the emblem just to have something to remember the car by, because I tried for so long to get this car, and it really was in worse shape than I thought. So the car does have, like I said, these black leather / vinyl seats, whatever you want to call them. The back seats are in pretty decent shape. I did fold them up the other day. The headliner is just horrendous. Passenger visor's junk. The driver's side may be able to be saved, but you know, it's a parts car at this point. So I am gonna pull the hatch. I'm gonna pull the doors. I've already got some of the other interior pieces out, so I'm gonna pull the rear quarter panels and any other black interior trim that I can get out. I haven't fully decided whether I'm switching my 86 over to a 87 to 93 interior, or sticking with the 79 to 85 interior, or 86 interior, sorry. Just really depends on how well this comes out, how well it cleans up. If it cleans up well, I may go ahead and swap it over. The car does have a gray dash in it already that is from a Aero Fox. So we'll just kind of see where everything goes. You know, I'm calling that car project to be determined, because none of it is set in stone. I was just going to put a 302 in it, and then I decided I was going to do a fuel injected Windsor. And now I'm to a carbureted Windsor with nitrous. So once I get that kind of figured out, we'll go further there. This engine just really surprised me, though. You know, all this junk is just from pulling the intake off and it's sitting for so long. But what really surprised me was how clean these heads are. The motor just, I mean, it's still got the paint on the valve springs. So I don't know that this motor was ran at least for very long. I mean, I don't know that it was ran at all. The motor does turn over. It is free, but the cam does not turn. I was turning over the crank. It was turning over all right, but, you know, I couldn't see any of the rockers move. So I went ahead and I pulled the cap off the distributor. Rotor wasn't moving. So I pulled the distributor and watched the cam gear, and the cam does not turn. So I don't know if maybe they put this rebuilt motor in it and then the cam wouldn't turn. They couldn't get it to start. So I don't know. Maybe it's just a cam sprocket that's popped off. You know, maybe the chain wasn't done right. I don't really know. So I'm going to take it home, pull all the accessories off the front of the motor. I'm going to go ahead and take and pull the timing cover off and see what's going on in there. And then kind of go from there. Probably going to end up pulling the heads off too, just to make sure that, you know, it wasn't running and through the chain and, you know, possibly been a valve or whatever. But the motor internally was just too clean for me to go ahead and let it go to scrap. You know, when I've only got $600 in the whole car, you know, a good 351 is worth that to me. So I do have another 351 that did run when I pulled it, but this one looks better by far. So we're just going to kind of see what happens once I get it all tore apart. This car should have came with a C4 transmission. I do have a C6 and a T5. So when it comes to the 86 build, I really don't know exactly what route I'm going to take. I believe the 86 was originally an automatic car. Therefore, it doesn't have a clutch pedal. So I'd have to go through the pedal swap and all of that. So we'll really just kind of see what happens. Today, I'm just wanting to get this car, you know, finish stripping this car and get it out of here. Basically, just call the junkyard and tell them to come get it. And then I'll take them the title later this week. I've thought about trying to sell the car, but when it comes down to it, all that's really going to be left is a shell. And it's going to be a roller with no doors, no hatch, no front clip. So the car's really not going to be worth that much to anybody. I tried reselling it when it was complete, and everybody wanted to lowball me. Everybody told me to part it out. So unfortunately, that's what happened. But I am going to be reusing, hopefully, the motor and some of the interior pieces if I can on my 86. This front end is going to be going on the neighbor's Mustang that he's deemed Frankenstang. So he's going to have the 87, the 93 rear bumper. He's going to have the 80 Cobra front end. The car's got 79 doors on it that have had the handles relocated. I do have an original set of 79 doors with panels that he may end up using. The motor is going to end up being like an 87 roller motor that was switched to a carb. So, you know, that's going to be a fun build for him. He's only 16, so it's his first car, his first Mustang. He's just in love with it, and it's a T-top. So for right now, that's probably going to be it. And we will go ahead and get everything else tore off this car and give the junkyard a call. Tell them to come pick it up. And, you know, whatever happens from there, happens from there. So I'm just going to attempt to save as much as I can of the car and hopefully reuse as much as I can. I really would have liked to have saved it, but the car is just so far gone. You know, somebody shattered the window when it was sitting over where it was originally at, and it's just, you know, just too bad. It's really too bad that the car sat for that long, and it would have been a cool car to restore, but just not in this shape. It's just too far gone. So with that being said, I'm going to finish getting this tore apart, and we will see you next time.